Good morning, friends. Now we are going to discuss the first chapter of our macroeconomics, that is national income and related aggregates. In class 11, you have studied different concepts of microeconomics, but you see, this national income related aggregates is a concept of macroeconomics. Now, before going to discuss about this chapter of national income and related aggregates, first we have to discuss what actually is macroeconomics and why this national income is a concept of macroeconomic analysis. So first thing we have to discuss, that is what is macroeconomics. So all of you know that in 11th we have discussed about this microeconomics. Now we are discussing this macroeconomics. Both these microeconomics and macroeconomics are the branches of economics. Both are the branches of economics. But you see, in microeconomics and macroeconomics, only one letter is the difference. This is I, and here we can say A. So if we write individual for I, suppose I am writing individual for this I and aggregate for this A. This is only to remember things. So this microeconomics is that branch of economics which deals with individual economic units, like individual demand, individual supply. This is your market demand, market supply, then market, price determination. All these are concepts of microeconomics. But when we are going to macroeconomics, this is a branch of economics which deals with aggregative economic units. Aggregative or economic units as a whole. So it is a branch of economics, branch which deals with aggregative economic units. And you see, this national income is the concept which is related to the whole economy. We are discussing national income means we have to calculate national income for the whole economy. Suppose we are calculating national income of India, that means we are going to calculate national income of the whole economy of India. As this national income is an aggregative concept, so this is coming under your macroeconomics. So macroeconomics is that branch of economics which deals with your aggregative economic units, or it studies the economics as a whole. The different concepts are aggregate demand, aggregate supply, national income, balance of payment, budget, etc., etc., and etc. So this is called your macroeconomics. I think now you people might be clear about the concept of what actually macroeconomics is and why this national income is a concept related to macroeconomics. Is it clear? Now, before proceeding that how this national income is calculated or estimated, we have to discuss different basic concepts which are used in this national income accounting. Because these basic concepts will be frequently used while we will discuss this chapter. Therefore, before discussing this national income and its calculation, we have to be very much clear-cut idea about these basic concepts. So now we have to discuss about these basic concepts. Basic concepts which are used in national incomes. Basic concepts. So in this basic concept, we have to discuss now two things. One is your final goods and another one is your intermediate goods. Final goods and another one is intermediate goods. You see, so to understand what is the difference between these final goods and intermediate goods and what actually these two goods are, we have to take one concept that is called your production boundary. This is the case, this is the production boundary. That production boundary will distinguish goods into final goods and intermediate goods. Some goods which are within this production boundary and some goods which are out of this production boundary. When the goods are within the production boundary, they are in active economic flow. Active economic flow in the sense that they are still in the production process and they are still adding values. For example, we can say that a person is doing a cotton. From this cotton, they are preparing cloth. From cloth, you see, this cotton is used to produce cloth. Cotton is in the active economic flow. And once cloth is produced, then it is sold to the consumer for final consumption. Then again, this cloth is out of the active economic flow. And this cloth will no more add any value in the economic process. Therefore, this cloth is coming out of economic flow and this cotton is within active economic flow. That means these are inside the or within the production boundary and this is out of the production boundary. And these things are called your intermediate goods and this cloth is called your final goods. So the basic difference between intermediate good and final good is that those goods which are within the active economic flow are called intermediate goods and those goods which are out of the active economic flow, these are called your final goods. And the another thing is that intermediate goods are not in the hand of its end user, whereas final goods are in the hand of its end user. And intermediate goods may be meant for resale, but final goods may not be meant for resale. So these are some basic differences. And another one thing, that these intermediate goods are completely used up in the production process, but final goods are not used up, rather these are used by its end users. But one thing you remember, there are certain goods which are within the active economic flow, but these are not considered as intermediate goods. For example, when a producer is producing goods, he is using this cotton. Cotton is used as a raw materials. Simultaneously, to produce cloth, he also use other factor inputs like land, labor, capital and entrepreneurs. And these are not used up. These are only to help in further production process. So these are called your factor inputs. So the factor inputs, you see, the factor inputs are always final goods. But this cotton or raw material is a non-factor input. So non-factor inputs are called your intermediate goods. So be careful in distinguishing this, that though in active economic flow various inputs are used to produce a final good, but these inputs are of two types. One is your factor input, another one is your non-factor input. So only the non-factor inputs are coming under intermediate goods. This is an exception in within the active economic flow. I think now you might be clear about the concepts of these final goods and intermediate goods. Then now come to discuss about some of the features of these final goods and intermediate goods. You see, we can now see that the concepts of final goods or features, these are meant for, these final goods are meant for final consumption or investment. Then it will not undergo any transformation. Any transformation. It is out of active does not add value. Not meant for resale. If you can see these concepts, that these are some features of final goods. These final goods are meant for final consumption or investment for two purposes. Then and intermediate goods, these are in the hands of the final consumers. These are used meant to satisfy human wants. These are meant to satisfy human wants. Or you can say these are meant for your production purposes. Meant for production purposes of other goods. Intermediate goods are meant to produce other goods. Then it will not undergo any transformation. That means final goods will not be transferred into another goods. For example, your building will not be converted to other output. Whereas intermediate goods are undergoes transformation. That means the raw material, that is cotton will now be converted into cloth. So these are transferred into another goods. Then it is out of active economic flow, whereas intermediate goods are within the active economic flow. Within the active economic flow. And these final goods do not add value, whereas intermediate goods adds value. They leads to value addition. For example, if the industrialist purchased cotton at 10 rupees and he prepared a cloth and sold it in 15 rupees, so this 15 it has add 5 rupees value during this active economic flow or economic process. Whereas final good cloth will be used by the final consumer 15 rupees and the value will not change. Then this not meant for resale. Final goods are not meant for resale, but intermediate good may mean for resale. For example, suppose a household is purchasing a car for its own use, then that is called a final good. But if that car will be purchased by the seller or by the shopkeeper or by the dealer of car dealer for resale to the consumer, then that is called an intermediate goods. So one thing very clear, that intermediate goods adds values and final goods do not add values. Intermediate goods are within the active economic flow and final goods are out of the economic flow. So now why we are studying about these final goods and intermediate goods? Now you see, when we will calculate our national income or its related concepts, the implication is very important. You see why we are discussing about these final goods and intermediate goods, because the value of the final goods will be added while calculating national income or its any related aggregates, whereas the value of the intermediate goods will not be added. This is the only implication for which we are now studying this concept of final good and intermediate good. Therefore, while we will calculate national income, we have to be very much clear and we have to be very much take care that intermediate good values are not added while calculating national income, and we have to calculate or we have to add only the value of these final goods, because these are within active economic flow and these are out of the economic flow. And one thing you just remember that now the same good may be final good or same good may be your intermediate good. Now it is a very interesting thing that how the same good can be final good and how the same good can be your intermediate good. Now you see, we have to take one example, that milk. This milk is purchased by the household. This milk is purchased by the restaurant. Suppose the household purchase this milk at 10 rupees and restaurant purchase this at 10 rupees and household make its own consumption. So this is in the hand of its end user, that is household, and it do not add any value. So this milk in the hand of the household is a final good because this is out of the active economic flow. But in the restaurant, it uses this milk and produce tea and sold this tea at the rate of 15 rupees. Then it add a value of 5. So this milk now in the hand of the restaurant, it is within the active economic flow. It adds values. Therefore, this milk purchased by the restaurant now became intermediate good, but the milk purchased by the household now became final good. So the same good may be intermediate good, may be final good. It depends on its nature of economic use. So it is the nature of economic use which makes a good your final good or intermediate good. It is not the nature of the good. So nature of the good is not important, rather nature of its economic use that makes the good your final good or intermediate good. If the good, the economic use of the good is within active economic flow, it is termed as intermediate good. If the nature of economic use that it is out of the economic flow and do not add value, then that is called the final goods. So now I think you are very much clear about the concept of your final goods and intermediate goods. So one thing concluded here, that while calculating national income, we have to add the value of the final goods only. Clear. Now come to the another concept, that is your consumer goods and your capital goods. So you see these final goods. Now we are taking final goods. Final goods, as I have already told, there's two use. One is for consumption purpose, another is for investment purpose. When the final good is used for consumption purpose or used by its end user, that is end consumer, then that good is termed as your consumer good or consumption goods. Consumer goods or consumption goods. You see, this consumption good is a final good, but it is used by the consumer for consumption purpose. For example, now we are purchasing a refrigerator. Refrigerator for household use. So that became your consumer goods. And when the final good is used for investment purpose, then that became your capital goods. That is called capital goods. Investment purpose, that means suppose a producer is purchasing a machine. So machine is a capital. You see, this machine is used for helping in further production process, and machine is a final good. I have already told. Though the producer is purchasing this for utilizing in the production process, and it will remain within active economic flow, but this machine will not add any value. It will rather help the raw materials to be converted into the output and add values. So, though machine is a factor input, I have already made it clear that the intermediate goods are only the non-factor input goods, and machine being a capital is a factor input. So, machine is a final good, and as it is used for investment purposes by the producer, so this machine is called a capital good. Is it clear now? So I think the concept of this capital goods and consumer good is clear. So those goods which are used by the consumers for consumption purpose and which are directly satisfying human wants, these are called the consumer goods, and those goods which are used by the producer for investment purpose, then that is called your capital goods. But you see, this capital good is also a producer good. This capital good is also called a producer good. हम capital good को producer goods कह सकते हैं. But one thing you remember, all the producer goods are not capital goods. So what actually this producer goods is? Those goods which are used by the producer in the production process, these are called producer goods. For example, a producer is using raw materials. So raw material is a producer good because it is used by the producer, and the producer is using the machine to convert this raw material output. This is also producer good. Both are producer goods, but machine is a capital good and raw material is not a capital good. So all the capital goods are producer.